Hi everyone. Today we're going to make macarons. These are chewy macarons with an amazing texture, and they're very easy to make. The recipe is for 24 pieces. It will take about 45 minutes to make, and the oven should be set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius. Let's get started. Okay, first let's talk about the ingredients. For the shell, we need 100 grams of almond flour and 100 grams of powdered sugar. We also need 100 grams of granulated sugar and 100 grams of egg whites, which comes out to around 3 large eggs. Make sure the egg whites are fresh and at room temperature because that will help with the whipping process later. Finally, we'll need some food coloring if you want colored macarons. I'm going to use a natural food coloring by a brand called Jeff's Sweet. And lastly, some salt. We only need a little bit, just a pinch. For the filling, it's just 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of granulated sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You can really use any type of filling you like. In fact, I have a video showing different types of fillings, so feel free to check that out after this one. Alright, so first thing first, to get started, I'm going to measure out the almond flour and the powdered sugar, then add them into a bowl and mix them together using a whisk. Next, add in the granulated sugar and then continue to mix it with the almond flour and powdered sugar until it looks like coarse sand. You don't want any large clumps of sugar. If there are, just break them up using your fingers. Once the sugar is evenly mixed, it's time to move on to the egg whites. Add the egg whites into a clean and dry bowl. Then, using an electric mixer, whip them on low speed until foamy. Once they're foamy, add the salt and continue to whip them on low speed until they become stiff peaks. If you've never whipped egg whites before, here's how you know when they're ready. You can lift the beaters up, and if they look like this, then they're good. Now it's time to add the food coloring. Add it slowly while continuously mixing on low speed. The food coloring that I'm using is very concentrated, so I only need to add a few drops. But depending on what food coloring you're using, you might need to add more. It's better to add it slowly and then go from there. Once the color looks consistent throughout the egg whites, stop adding the food coloring. Continue to whip the egg whites until they look glossy and stiff. This is important. You want to make sure that the egg whites are stiff enough, because if they're not stiff enough, the macarons won't hold their shape and they'll end up looking like pancakes. When you're done, they should look like this. Now, it's time to combine everything together. I'm going to turn off the mixer and then using a rubber spatula, gently fold in the almond flour mixture. Don't overmix or else the macarons will be tough. Just gently fold it until it looks like a thick batter. It should look like this. If it looks like this, you've added too much air and the macarons won't turn out right. If it looks like this, then you haven't mixed enough and the macarons will be dense and tough. If you're not sure if you've mixed enough, it's better to undermix than overmix. The batter will become less dense as you continue to fold it. So just keep folding it until it reaches this consistency. Once it looks right, place the bowl on a flat surface, cover it, and then let it rest at room temperature for 30 minutes. This step is important because it allows the gluten to relax. That way, the macarons won't be tough and chewy. While the batter rests, let's prepare the baking mats. I'm using 2 Silpat baking mats. They're my favorite because they're non-stick and reusable. I placed them on top of 2 baking sheets. Then I used a piping bag and a round tip to pipe the batter onto the mats. I made sure to leave a little space between each macaron because as they bake, they'll expand and they'll end up touching. Also, make sure to not overfill the pastry bag. If you do, the macarons will be thick in the middle and they won't bake properly. Each macaron should be about 1½ tablespoons of batter. Once I finished piping all the macarons, I tapped the baking mats on the counter to release any air bubbles. Then I bake them in a preheated oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius for 18 minutes. I rotated the baking sheets halfway through. I know the macarons are done when the edges are slightly lifted and golden brown. While the macarons bake, let's work on the filling. Add the butter, sugar, and vanilla extract into a bowl. Using an electric mixer, cream it until light and fluffy. Once it looks like this, the filling is ready. Now it's time to fill the macarons. Once they're done baking, take them out of the oven and let them cool completely on a wire rack. Once they're cool, place one macaron shell on a flat surface, then add about 1–2 teaspoons of the filling on top. Be careful not to go too close to the edges. If you do, the macarons will fall apart. Once you've added the filling, place the other shell on top and then gently press it down. You don't want to press too hard because you could squeeze out the filling, but you do want to press hard enough so the macarons stick together. Once you've filled all the macarons, you're done. Here's how mine turned out. Aren't they beautiful? What do you think? I think they turned out great. I love the golden glow and the pink color. They're so cute. These macarons are super chewy and they have a great texture. They're not crunchy, they're not cakey, they're just chewy. I love them. How did yours turn out? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves macarons. Subscribe and click the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.